this quorum? Well, good morning. All righty. Well, as you can tell, I am not Tom McDaniel. Cecilia Robinson Wood sitting in for Tom McDaniel today as Vice Chair. And I will call the MAPS 3 Citizens Advisory Board meeting for August 22nd to order. All right. Item number 2 on the agenda is approval of minutes from the July 25th meeting. Do we have any additions or comments? It's been moved and seconded. All those in approval? All righty. Motion passes. Item number 3, receive the MAPS 3 budget and obligations report as of August 7, 2019. David?
Thank you. We're still waiting on the close of the fiscal year, so we do not have the budget and obligations report. Well, we have the budget and obligations report only. We don't have the budget on that. So you can see the expenditures that have taken place, and if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them, but I anticipate at the next meeting we'll have a catch-up agenda for the budgets.
Receive the report.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All righty. Item number 4, recommend resolution approving final plans and specifications for the MAPS 3 Bennett Event Center improvements and authorizing the city clerk to advertise for bids to be received September 18, 2019, project M3 F002G.
Remember that there are 2 things within this project, things that the contractor did not complete that we pulled out of his scope, and then some additional items that the fairgrounds wanted, changes here and there to help better with operations, and this is all still within their budget. We had John Sentner here from FSB who's going to go over the items, so I'd like to invite him up.
Thank you. Today we're going to talk about the plans and specifications that were put forth for improvements to the Bennett Event Center. Holistically, we've presented some of the issues we'd like to resolve previously. These, we can break them up into about 3 categories. These were punch list items that weren't completed by the contractor, improvements that we asked for prices from the contractor during construction that we didn't find acceptable and didn't take at that time. And then since we've had staff in operating the building, really operational improvement projects and safety concerns and improvements to the general building. So those are kind of the 3 main areas of this project. Work item number 1 is the exterior doors. We're having daylight, weather, and bug issues coming in, so we'd really like to clean up some of those issues and replace some of these. One of the minor items on there is the large nano-wall door at the front lobby. We need to better secure that such that they can secure that from both directions. Work item number 2, the access control. As we go through and work through all the doors, there's lots of known access controls issues with the building that the contractor didn't complete. And so as we're replacing and fixing the doors, we're also going to be disrupting what's there. And so we really are bringing forth together to finish that. Work item number 3 is a small motion sensor relocation. Work item number 4 is all the roof hatches. Just as people climb up and down the ladders, a lot of them we have some safety concerns over that, so we'd like to add some additional hand and footholds around them just to improve the safety of workman access. Work item number 5, another safety gate to get on top of the mezzanine over the ticketing area. Work item number 6, in the main vestibule, they're laying ceiling tiles there, and we'd like to, because that area is sealed, they're having some air pressure issues, and we'd like to replace some of those ceiling tiles such that when the doors open and close, they don't pop out. Work item number 7, there's a small door on the back that's getting some water intrusion. We'd like a little canopy over it. Work item number 8, the faucets, when they hook the soap dispensers up to the current faucets, we're getting and leave the hot and cold water on. It stopped at a different valve further down the system. It's actually backfeeding hot water through the cold water. So we'd just like to change out the valves and it will stop that. Work item number 9, we have some lights that are in their built-in freezers that condensate from just the temperature differentiation at the light has caused them to repeatedly fail. We'd like to replace that, fix the wiring and the insulation around them. Work item number 10, at all the ticketing booths, we're going to add some new signage and some monitors to help with, coming attractions type of stuff. Work item number 11, the main fire riser room. We have some issues with the UL rating around that room, so we'd like to improve that. Work item number 12 is a fire extinguisher cabinet for ADA. If somebody with a cane needs to come by because it's exposed, it needs just a skirt around it so somebody can find that and not bump into it. Work item 13, this building has been in operation now over, I think, 3 years, and some of the faucets, we can't find restockable parts for it. So our recommendation is actually to replace all the faucets in one of the larger restrooms and use those faucets as spare parts, and then we'll put in faucets that are currently repairable and replaceable. That relates to item number 14. Just because of ongoing maintenance, the contractor has used the majority of the attic stock pretty much specific to faucets and ceiling tiles. So we'd like to replace those up to the contract value. Work item number 15, in that vestibule, there was some piping that wasn't insulated completely, and just on very humid days we get a little bit of condensate drippage that's staining ceiling tiles. We'd like them to fix that. Work item 16, some of the hot water in the facility isn't making it to the kitchens quickly enough, so we'd like to improve that system. Work item 17, on the back of the roof, there's rooftop units on the east and the west side, and so maintenance guys will climb up a ladder and then trace across the roof to get to the other one. Well, it's really wearing the roof excessively in that area, so we'd like to put some added padding there just to help with that. Work item number 18, once again in that vestibule, those ceiling tiles, we have a couple that are broken we'd like to repair. 19, there's some electrical penetrations that aren't appropriately sealed. We'd like to repair that. Work item 20, one of the larger freezers, condensers that's outside is missing the protective screen that goes over it. We'd like to add that back. Work item 21, in the back of house, we're actually seeing some of the pipes have a water hammer effect and excessively swing. So we'd like to add an anchor to limit that swinging and then add some water hammer arresters within the system to hopefully mitigate that down to something that's acceptable. Work item 22A and B are related. In the main lobbies, both inside and outside of the building, as part of an early cost-saving measure, we used a metal panel system. The metal panel system wasn't our preferred system, but we did that for cost. When we finally got bids, we went back to the contractor and asked him for an improvement to use a glass fiber reinforced cover that we thought would be more aesthetically pleasing and last longer. We didn't find the price acceptable, and so we chose not to go forward with that. But just even the few years that we've had the building operating, we're seeing damage, and so we'd like to go ahead and improve those. Item A is for the ones in the main lobby. Item 22B is actually for all the perimeter ones, both around the lobby, inside and out, and then in the 4 perimeter corners of the building. We have that section out right now as an alternate just to make sure budgets were going to come in line. 22C, back of house. These doors have an internal rod that sticks up into the frame. We're having just ongoing maintenance with those, and because they're internal to the door, it's kind of a challenge. So this is an alternate to remove that from inside the door and put that exterior. It's an increased cost because we'd have to buy a different piece of hardware instead of reusing what we have. So I went through those really quickly. The total cost, with the exception of the last three, comes to about $700,000. With the final three that are alternates in the drawings, we come just over $1.1 million. Currently remaining on this project is $1.8 million. So we feel that leaves us a good budget remaining. The schedule for that, in some of the printouts, it has an old date, but yesterday we moved from the August 27th City Council to the September 10th City Council, which will push bid openings to October 7th, and we will then award and issue notice to proceed following that.
Is that October 7th or October 2nd?
Second, I apologize. So we hope then to have the contractor, the successful contractor, start working with the State Fair to schedule the work such that it doesn't interrupt the fair shows, and complete in March of 2020.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
I have a question for John or Bob. So does this complete the list of the outstanding things that we knew were removed and needed to be fixed?
I'll take it. Okay. So we have partially accepted the building to date. The building, with the exception of the roof, the insulation, and the high wall panels, are what we haven't. Those three items are what we haven't accepted to date. And once you accept them, you have a 2-year warranty period, basically, a maintenance bond. So we're still within that, and so we're still working with the contractor on some issues within that. Recently we had an air handling unit go down, and have worked through them on that. So there still are some remaining items in addition to the roof, the ceiling insulation, and the high wall panels. But when we talk about large ticket items, things that we know about, we're planning for, yes, this should be the remaining. Other than, I believe there's a signage package that we have planned after this, a wayfinding package.
Do you have anything to add, David?
The Fairgrounds Subcommittee did not have a quorum, but their recommended approval for this.
David, these are engineered estimates?
Yes, sir.
We haven't bid it yet. So.
That's correct.
Okay. Some of I'm not an engineer, but some of this sounds awful high. Replacing ceiling tiles for several, 10, 12,000.
John, you want to respond to that?
An awning for $12,000. Some of that stuff seems high.
So some of this is, I'll take the ceiling tiles. So those are really specialty, high-end, lobby ceiling tile. It's not the standard office building ceiling tile. And some of it is just, getting a general contractor to get out there to do the city's warranties and budgets, their overhead. It's going to be a little higher than
But what's
kind of
wrong
what we
with
expect.
the existing ceiling tiles? Failed, and now we're going to replace them with the very same type of tiles, or what's?
So in that instance, we've had a lot of work in that area, and so they have either failed, or as guys have removed them and replaced them and removed them and replacement, the clips have worn out, and so some of them are hanging down, some of them have that air issue. Just that vestibule area is probably the most challenged area as it relates to the ceiling tile, but it did go into the main lobby, and it's just kind of a high-end specialty tile of why that one is particularly high. The canopy on the back, we're going to put in a very nice canopy that is going to last for 30 to 50 years, and so to get those types of painting products, those epoxies, that's really what we're going with on the backside there.
And the column covers, I mean, what's wrong with the existing column covers that they need to be replaced? I mean, this is the one that was designed, was
Right.
put in there, and now we're changing the design, I guess.
So the column covers are an improvement in two ways. Initially, we proposed the glass reinforced column covers because they're a sturdier material. So when you have a cart, when you have shows moving in and moving out, and you can imagine a building like this, there's an immense amount of move in, move out, and so people just coming in, banging, hitting those. And so a light, the metal panels that are there today, a few of them have been nicked and dinged, but holistically, this is going to be a much more manageable product for the future. The second part of that is just aesthetically, we all preferred more of a stone look for those columns, and so the glass reinforced will be able to get kind of that stone feel with a really durable product. So that's why we added it as an alternate, and it's definitely something that I know the State Fair is really interested in and asking for, and has for a while. But originally, when we asked the contractor to do that as part of his base price, we felt the price was a little high, but the additional days to the contractor's schedule was really what caused that not to be accepted during construction.
And we did look at that in the original design, but because of budget considerations, it was reduced to the metal covering.
Yeah, but we essentially ended up paying for two sets of covers now. So, I mean, I'm not going to nitpick it, but it seemed like a lot of it seemed pretty high. So I was just curious where we were in the process. I suppose maybe the bids might come in better.
And there is some of this that, as we did the punch list and the punch list items that weren't completed from the contractor, the city did get some funds, retained some funds from him for this package. But it is likely not holistic in any way.
Any other questions from the board? Bob?
Well, as chair of the committee, I just want to emphasize a couple of points. Despite a relatively long list of items to upgrade, the Bennett Center is not falling apart. It's a phenomenal facility, and the State Fair is still delighted with it. Vendors, production people who are there, customers, visitors to the center just marvel at what it is. It's functioning very, very well, and these are, I hate to use the word cosmetic items because they're more substantial than that, but that's the gist of what we're doing here, is really trying to complete those items that the contractor that we had initially, we suffered through a lot of problems with, didn't get done or didn't get done properly and need to be improved or repaired. And as with any facility of this size, experience tells you where those problems are going to lie, that you can't necessarily anticipate everything going into it, no matter how well engineered it is to begin with. You find that things work well or they don't work well, you need to make improvements. That's especially the case with the doors that we're having to upgrade in some ways. So these are a bit more than cosmetic improvements, but really very essential to make this the facility that we envisioned. Obviously, the State Fair folks are very much in favor of doing these things, and we discussed it at some length at the committee yesterday after John's presentation, and there was a strong consensus that we need to do these things. We're still within the budget, the original budget that we had proposed. So I'm not sure if there's a motion on the floor, but I would move approval of the resolution.
Do we have a second? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All righty. Item number 5, recommend resolution approving change order number 14 and amendment number 6, MAPS 3 Convention Center, which is a decrease of $1,588.68. Project M3C003. David?
So this is a change order and amendment for the Convention Center. The most significant item is actually a credit, and that's an escalator cleaner. Originally, we looked at the very highest end of the spectrum on the escalator cleaners, and upon reviewing that with the operator, determined that we didn't need a $90,000 escalator cleaner, so we backed that down to a less expensive model, and ended up with a $57,000 credit on that. Then you can see the rest of the things are kind of routine things that come up either during construction or operator requests. And then the amendment part was some more concrete. We continue to find concrete as we do excavation out there, but luckily we had a price established for that. So this comes with the recommendation from the subcommittee.
It's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor? Opposed? All righty. Item number 6. Recommend resolution approving change order number 15, MAPS 3 Convention Center, an increase of $600,975, project M3C0303.
So this has to do with chairs. Originally in the contract, the contractor is to provide the chairs for the meeting rooms and the ballroom. We had 2,500 chairs that were specified for the meeting rooms, and then we had 2,500 that are specified for the ballroom, and they are different. And because as we were going through with budget concerns, they were at the lower end of that. Going along now that we are doing very well, we're at less than 2%, more than halfway through the project, and we have a considerable amount of budget, and we recognize the need that it is much more efficient for all the chairs to be the same. So not only will all the chairs be the same within the meeting room and the ballroom, so if they have a event in the ballroom that's 2,600 and they need 100 more chairs, there won't be 100 chairs that look different than the rest of them. And the chairs that we propose here are much more sturdy and they're much more padded. They're much more comfortable than the chairs that we had originally specified. We've gone about 3 or 4 months with the subcommittee showing them the various chairs, and we even did a sitting opportunity to see how much better the chairs are. It's much more comfortable, and the last thing we wanted to do was provide uncomfortable chairs for the meeting rooms and the ballroom. So yes, it's a significant amount, but remember it's 5,000 chairs. It's an upgrade to those chairs. The contractor will be providing those. And this comes with the overwhelming approval from the subcommittee on comfort.
Yeah. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All righty. In the name of comfort. Item number 7, recommend joint resolution approving change order number 13, MAPS 3, Scissortail Upper Park, an increase of $17,609.85. Project M3P006/WC0920.
I'm very excited about getting close to the opening of the park, and this is what I would consider a routine change order as we get close to the completion of that park. The backflow preventer was plumbing inspectors issued to protect the groundwater integrity, some lighting revisions, and an additional electrical circuit. And this comes with the approval from the subcommittee.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Righty. Item number 8, recommend resolution approving amendment number 2, MAPS 3 Upper Park tree package, an increase of $15,030, project M3-P006A.
Remember that we bid the tree package, as we call it, all the trees for the park separately, so that we could get those ahead of construction, get them brought into the state, put in a nursery and let them start to acclimate. So that's why we have a separate contract for this. And then also because of the weather delays and issues we've had with construction, we're having to plant some trees in not the most opportune time of the year. But you can do it with some additional considerations. One of those is this anti-desiccant, which is a spray that's sprayed on the leaves and stops transpiration of the plant and holds water. So the main thing you want to do is hold the moisture in the plant. If you remember, we did another item that put a gel on the root ball of the tree to hold that moisture. Then on top of that, we have the contractor delivering the trees very early in the morning. So they're showing up at their place and loading the trees at about 4 in the morning and getting them to the site at 6 in the morning when it's still dark, it's still cool, and getting them in the ground. The plan is to have them in the ground before 11 o'clock and have them staked and watered in so that they don't experience any of the heat. So the $13,600 is for all the labor that's required, additional time for the early deliveries. And this comes with the approval from the subcommittee.
We like the little life insurance.
It's been moved. It's been moved and seconded that we vote on the item. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? All righty. Item number 9, recommend resolution approving change order number 4 and amendment number 5, MAPS 3, Phase 3, Project 1, Trail Improvements, Lake Draper Trail, a decrease of $96,152.52. Project M3T003.
Remember that the Draper Trail is done in 3 different projects, and they're staggered, so this is the first one that is wrapping up. And again, some routine change order items, but the most important part is the reconciliation of the quantities in the amendment portion of it, and that's where we have the $131,000 credit because of quantities that were not used. So this is the precursor to the final acceptance of this project. This comes with the approval of the subcommittee also.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All righty. David, do we have any new business?
We do not.
All righty. Any reports from the advisory board subcommittees?
Just that reminder that the Upper Park, Scissortail Park, will have its grand opening weekend, September 27th, 28th, and 29th. Maureen Heffernan gave us a report yesterday at our subcommittee meeting, and certainly everybody's very excited about Kings of Leon. We also have more bands that are being added on. OKC Phil will have a great performance on Sunday. There's just so many activities and events planned. The park carries a tagline for everyone, and this celebration will definitely show that it is.
Any other reports? All righty. Any updates on status of programs?
Well, I can tell you that at the river we continue to work on the plans for the additional items out there and hope to be bringing you some final plans next month on the additional improvements, which includes the zip line and some other enhancements out there. As far as senior wellness, we continue to work on site selection for sites, or Wellness Centers 3 and 4, and I also hope to be bringing that to you next month. Trails and sidewalks, as we just saw, the first trail is really starting to wrap up, and the other 2 should be wrapping up in the next 30 to 60 days. Convention Center is just going along, doing great. You can see that the glass has been put in. You can really see the full shape of the Convention Center. I urge you not only to drive along Robinson, but go along on Shields over there, and you can see the backside, and you can really get a feel for how large that is. They did a large pour, 800 cubic yards this week, so they got the first piece of the exhibit hall floor in. Took them several hours, started at about 4 in the morning doing that. And we talked about the fairgrounds, we talked about the park. Streetcar also has new things going on in design right now. some of the items that were requested by the State Safety Office, and also that Fifth Street turnback project that you've seen before. I hope to be bringing that to you next month also.
And now that I think about it, I do want to add that we did get an update yesterday on Senior Wellness Center number 1, who we approved for some expansions and some additions, and so they're working through that, and that's moving along pretty well, so that ought to be hopefully in play here pretty soon. All righty. Any comments by the board, or, well, we've already said the board, any staff or citizens?
See, I do have a comment or a thought. Now that the bids have come in for the parking garage, I understand that the bids have come in, I don't remember the number now, but perhaps as much as $4 or $5 million. Is that under budget? Is that correct, David?
I'm not,
Okay, I think I read
I don't
that.
know the exact number.
So my thought or question is about the dollars that we provide, MAPS dollars that went into that project, that we request those dollars come back to MAPS. As I took the position early on that, is that it was never part of MAPS projects that we told the voters that we were going to build. So, but we proved it. So I'm thinking the least we could do is those monies that were under budget should come back to the MAPS budget. And so I'm wondering if you could kind of look into that, and if it would be appropriate, maybe an agenda item to discuss that next month.
I'll talk to the city manager about that.
Okay.
On that, was that $10 million we approved for that?
Yes, sir.
Any other comments from staff or citizens? All righty. Well, I think Nathaniel says we should adjourn. Susan seconded. All righty. Thank you all. Got to